Stonegate Arts and Education Center, and here in our new media studio. And today we're visiting with Steve Bryant and Blaine Parker. Today we're going to focus on small business development in our region. And Blaine and Steve have resources for folks who are thinking about starting a business. And to get started, Steve, would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with the center?
Yep, I'm Steve Bryant. I'm the Regional Director for the South Central Small Business Development Center, and we're a 10-county area from Bloomington down past Jasper, and obviously Lawrence County's in the middle of that territory. My background comes, I've worked in government, I've worked in education now, I've worked in for-profit industry, and been doing work at Ivy Tech for about 15 years, running their entrepreneurship center there, the Cook Center for Entrepreneurship. And then we also host a Small Business Development Center regional office and have done that since about the same time. And I took over as regional director for that in 2015. So.
Okay, and Blaine Parker, who's Steve's partner in crime. Blaine, will you share what your role is with the Small Business Center?
Sure. With the SBDC, I am a business advisor under Steve with South Central office based out of Ivy Tech.
Okay. Last month, Blaine came and spoke to a remote worker lunch that we have monthly here at Stonegate, and we had a success story. One of the gentlemen that listened reached out and didn't know about your services, and so Blaine, could you share what some of the services you can provide someone who's thinking about starting a business? What that process looks like?
Sure, absolutely. If you have an idea or a dream, the Indiana Small Business Development Center is there for you. We do offer all of our services for free. If you hop on to the Indiana Small Business Development website, there is a green button up at the top right-hand corner, and that's where you can click to get registered. Once you're registered with the proper region, and for our region, it's the South Central office. You'll be directed with Haley, and she will take down your information and get you started. You'll get set up with a business advisor and go through all of the steps to get you set up with the state if that's necessary. And then also any other business advice that you would need, such as taxes, structure, all of those wonderful things that go along with starting a small business.
Okay. Steve, you mentioned the 10-county area. How many business advisors do you have in the region, or does Blaine cover all 10 counties?
Well, Blaine could, with the much energy she has, but for 10 counties, we have a team of about 8, and that's between the Small Business Development Center and our Ivy Tech team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Blaine, do you primarily focus on Lawrence County, or do you serve other counties primarily, or?
If they come into the South Central region, that's the focus.
Okay.
So if they call in, it doesn't matter if they're with Lawrence, Monroe, Greene. We're there to serve them.
So if someone in Greene or Orange County sees this podcast and would like to reach out to you, they're welcome to contact you directly.
Yep, they would go through the Small Business Development Center directory and get registered, and then once they do that, then they would speak with one of us. So,
if someone's thinking about starting a business and do you and your services are free, do you also help them find financing or advise them on where to seek financing if they're looking for some startup funds to start their business?
Yeah, we definitely do that every day because that's a critical component of most entrepreneurs who need some help is figuring out how to capitalize it. And most of that is through our network of commercial lending partners at all the banks and credit unions in the area. They all know us pretty well because they're the ones they go to and knock on their door and say, hey, I need a loan, or I'm looking for a grant, or whatever they're looking for. And oftentimes they don't have anything on paper yet that the banks can kind of work with. So we kind of help get all of that organized and then try to find those options and tell them what the best options are for them.
Okay. And that's where, Linda, where the business plan is important. We have that both digitally and a hard copy. You can download the business plan guide off of the website, but that's essential for the banks. They want to see that. They want to know that you've got all your ducks in a row before you come in.
Yeah.
And what,
Big part of that would be projections. So,
okay.
what do you think you're going to have in terms of sales? What are your expenses going to be? And if you don't know, you have to get some solid evidence behind that
Yeah.
in order to make them feel comfortable that it's worth investing those dollars.
And I was looking at the handout that Blaine provided for the remote worker, and one of the things I noticed talking about doing your own market research and understanding the market area. Um, uh, a question: what types of businesses have you helped recently launch in South Central Indiana? You don't have to necessarily name names, but what are some businesses that have types of businesses that have been launched here recently?
You all have that one?
Yeah, sure. Well, she's been on another project for the last 4 or 5 months, so she probably hasn't had any other ones other than rebuilding a building or redoing a building. Yeah, everything, under the
Okay.
sun. Certainly food and beverage businesses, retail, online, a lot of online businesses, a lot of side hustles, as I call them. Whereas
Mhm.
you have a full time job, but you make some extra money on the weekends at farmers markets or pop up shops, those kinds of things. But we also deal with manufacturers. We deal with a lot of the companies that surround Crane. So if you're making metal parts or plastic, or you provide technical services, professional services, and you're trying to get into that ecosystem, we work with the Crane Small Business Liaison daily, getting people connected back and forth to see if there's an opportunity to grow there.
Very good, very good. If someone's thinking about starting a business, when's the best time to approach you to ask for assistance? When they've just got the idea, or it's been percolating for a while, or if someone has an idea that you don't think is going to fly, are you open upfront about that, or how does that work?
Yeah, I don't think there's ever a bad time. It's probably sooner the better, because if you're
Okay.
just kind of kicking the tires, as we call it, on
Mm-hmm.
the idea, we can help you organize your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, and
Mm-hmm.
that's part of putting that plan together. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking a 40-page business plan has to be created for a retail business, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to have something written down to help understand what you need to be thinking about. What is your organizational structure going to look like? What is the market you're trying to get to? Who's your customer? We help you with all of that. And that's some of the market research tools we have are able to help kind of tease some of that information out. If you're a realtor, for instance, and you're looking at, okay, well, like a commercial realtor, or my residential, and from a residential, how are you going to get in touch with all your people? What are the marketing strategies? You know, are there radio programs? Are there billboards? Are there social media places to put your information outside of an agency you might be? So we help you with those tactical things and give you advice and say, hey, here's the ones we think you should try out, and a little bit of information. And then if we can't help you from beyond that, then maybe there's another consultant or somebody out there who kind of has.
And again, your services are free.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we get
that's
funding from the
huge.
Small Business Administration, from the state of
Okay.
Indiana, from some local partners, and what we do is we hire professionals who have different kinds of backgrounds. Most of us have run our own businesses or still run our own businesses, so we have that kind of standing in terms of experience. Some of our advisors are marketing, e-commerce, social media specialists. We have a couple that are kind of in the accounting and finance and tax area, because these are pretty common needs we have. One of our advisors worked for a couple of defense contractors around Crane, a large one and a small one, so they understand government certifications and government business very well. And those are very common things. And we have a couple of our advisors that do nothing but help file LLCs for companies and help them get their ID number from the federal government to get their business started, get your bank account set up, and let's get to it.
Very good, very good. Is there any question that I haven't asked you that you all would like to be sure to get to share information you'd like to share with folks?
We don't just help startups; that we do help existing businesses that may
Okay,
be struggling in terms of, you're 18 months in and you burn through all your cash, and then not
okay,
enough people are coming through the door. How do I
okay.
right the ship? Or I'm really growing very quickly. I didn't think I'd ever be building a building. You know,
Mhm.
thought I'd always lease. How do I even start to approach that? Where do I go? Because some businesses just take off. They're in the right place at the right time.
Does it need some help with dealing with the growth that they're
Absolutely.
experiencing?
Growth issues, as we call
That's
it.
a good
Yeah.
thing
Those
to
are good.
have.
Those are good
Mhm.
problems to have.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Those are
yeah.
the ones the banks like
Yeah.
too, a lot.
Well, I was
Lenders.
reading an article over the weekend that job creation, largest sector is small businesses, where the jobs, new jobs are being created, and not necessarily the large manufacturers or businesses. So
Mhm.
small business is important. It's backbone of our country, really.
Yeah, a good example, W.F. Myers, they just received an award from the state for, I think it's Family-Owned Business of the Year, and they've been in business for over 100 years, I
Yes,
think, with the
yes.
current team.
Yeah.
Not all of them are that old, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think, but, Alex and his team over there, they're in the limestone business, and they understand that world very well, and they've needed a lot of help along the way, and they've talked to, I think, my entire team over the last 15, 20 years, just, hey, I need help in marketing, or there's this, manufacturing readiness grant that was out there for them that they took advantage of. INTAP, our technical assistance program, they had some exporting questions in the past, so they probably used all of our services at one point in addition to business planning and market research and, financial suggestions.
And you mentioned online businesses. In our remote worker lunch, we have about 30 individuals part of our network, and 3 or 4 of them have online businesses. And just a plug for Stonegate, if you are a business and you need a place to meet or host a meeting or need a conference room and everything, that's what we're here to support. Stonegate, we're evolving or morphing into being a regional economic development hub as well. So folks can utilize us as well. We thank you for Steve and Blaine for being here, and you're welcome anytime you want to come. If you have new information you want to share, get out to the community. We'll put you online and get that out there.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you, Linda,
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks for having us.